It is 1 minute after 11 o'clock, and welcome back inside Brunch at 107.7. Good of you to take up your time this Sunday to be with us. We are happy that you're spending it. I am Rennie Bishop, along with my co-host, Sharmain Baboolal. Sharmain.
Up to 1 month ago, as the news reported, Louis Lee Singh declared his intention to contest the Port of Spain South seat as an independent candidate, after he screened for the People's National Movement and was rejected in favor of one of the party's deputy political leader, Marlene MacDonald, who is also the chief whip in the House of Representatives. With the date September 7th given, there are two major contenders, the People's Partnership Government, which wants to be returned, and the People's National Movement. For several weeks on this program, Brunch at 107.7, we have opened the mic to people who drifted away from the PP, as we analyze from all possible angles the politics of the party and its impact on governance. Today we place those scrutinizing eyes on the PNM, which is seeking a clear mandate from the people. At this point, Lee Singh is in a position to give some insight. So we welcome former Mayor of Port of Spain, Louis Lee Singh, and we start off by asking you, Mr. Lee Singh, have you made a commitment to contesting Port of Spain South as an independent candidate? Now that the date is set, are you going to do it?
Let me start by saying, if I knew you were calling me to speak politics here this morning, I wouldn't come. And that is the truth, because I have reckoned in my mind that Trinidad and Tobago finds itself in a very hopeless place. If I look to the party that is in government, I know it's not the party that should be running my country and the country of my great-great-great-great-great-grandchildren. And if I looked to the PNM, which I have been a member of for 46 years before I left it, I know it is not the party that Dr. Williams built. I know, too, that it is not a party that I feel comfortable with. And so the question is, are we going to the polls to vote into office to administer the affairs of Trinidad and Tobago for 5 long years, the lesser of the two evils?
I like the fact that you said that you didn't come to do that because it is instructive. A couple of things that you did. First of all, good to see you. Haven't seen you for quite some time. A couple of things that you did as mayor, I know struck me while in New York. One of them that I totally agreed with you on was the whole question of taking some of that money that's put out for the special works and put it into some national service. I think that was a very admirable thing. And I wondered why that was not passed. I wondered if you tried to do too much in a short space of time, because the idea itself is a fundamentally good one.
Well, Rennie, let me put it this way. Trinidad is just not ready for the needs, or rather Trinidad is not ready for ideas nor people who are prepared to shift the goalposts. You see, Trinidad remains a kind of smart man country. And if you see the papers dominated by Jack these days, it has to do with the fact that people are fascinated by the issues surrounding Jack. And the fact that Jack could, in Trinidad and Tobago, discourage people from focusing on FIFA and rather focus on things that he agendas, tells you where we are. We're in a bad space, and I don't know that it is really something that I want to spend. I have less years ahead of me than behind me. And when you reach that point in your life, you begin to ask yourself, do I want to do those things that, in my mind, are not things that are going to bring me joy? You see, I still enjoy going to the Queen's Park Savannah and playing football 4 days a week sometimes. This week I did it 3 times. And this evening I'll be in Edinburgh 500 playing a game for I-95.
You're only saying that to embarrass me because you know you can do it and I can't, but go ahead.
It is something that I look forward to. And the truth is, I have 5 granddaughters. I was not blessed with grandsons. But I've had a tremendous blessings with 5 granddaughters. I never thought I would admit it, but I feel I'm a doting grandfather. And so I think I want to take that time that I have remaining to groom and school these children to become good citizens. You know, I'm not going to send them to pick up a bag with $10 million anywhere. Not going to do that, because I think that is not what fathers do. No, grandfathers do. Yeah.
You haven't answered the question, because I know you've declared your mission is finding the patriot outside of the PNM and the PP. But are you contesting Port of Spain South?
No. I want to say to you, I never approach my politics without some bit of science in it. And so I had been polling Port of Spain South. The poll was showing very favorable until Vanilla Allen Toppin torpedoed the partnership and all with it. Because from that day onwards, the PNM was on the ascendance. And though the poll shows that I have a much stronger favorability rating than the incumbent, I can't beat the PNM. And I won't try to beat the PNM.
Yeah, but why did you think of it in the first instance? Because it is technically a PNM safe seat, except for one occasion in the NER when Teddy Guerra held it.
Except too that as mayor of Port of Spain, I had 22 town meetings in Port of Spain. And if you know the composition of Port of Spain, the city of Port of Spain, it embraces two constituencies, Port of Spain West, Port of Spain North, St. Anne's West, and Port of Spain South. The bulk of the city is in Port of Spain South. It starts in Cocorite. It goes to the highest point in St. James. So it takes in all of St. James, comes down Long Circular Road, takes in parts of DB, and it comes straight down Long Circular Road to Tragreet, to Western Main Road. And it follows Western Main Road into Tragreet, all the way to Charlotte Street. Then it goes up and it takes, in the redefined thing, it takes the right side of Observatory Street, going all of the way back up to the hill, and then a straight line to Sea Lots. Okay. I had 22 town meetings during that period, and I dare say Marlene McDonald attended one. Wherever I went as mayor of Port of Spain, the cry was for representation. The cry was for representation. Marlene McDonald is the worst member of parliament in terms of representation. And if you listen to any of the other radio stations, you hear the people calling in all the time. In addition to that, there is evidence out there, and I have a copy of the file, and I am sure Dr. Rowley has a copy of the file, and Ashton Ford has a copy of the file, because it was compiled by a very keen forensic accountant who is also a member of the PNM. And the file was made available to me, and on the basis of the evidence in that file, Marlene McDonald has questions to answer. I want to ask her the question, how did she approve? This is a question to Marlene McDonald. Tell me, how did you as minister approve funding to a foundation in which your common law husband and his brother are principals? The approvals were given, and within 2 days the checks were cut. Not small money. How do you explain to me? I would like you to explain to the public, how is it possible that you could approve more than $2 million for a community center, and today not even one block is on the site? Now, these are questions I believe, as the mayor, shocked me when I saw it. I was confronted wherever I went, whether it's in Cocorite, and I was a busy mayor, as you would recall, a very busy mayor. On a Friday, I would put on my jeans, and I am not one to be given to blue lights and what have you. I traveled along the city as I normally do. And I would get in my van and go and drive up St. Paul Street, wherever we have projects, check the pavements myself. And so people would tell me what they thought. In preparation for the screening, I had 6 focus groups, I would want to call it. I don't want to call them town meetings. They turned out to be town meetings. But a town meeting has to have some officialdom in it, and then I was not the mayor. And in those 6 meetings, I retraced the steps in 6 critical areas: Piccadilly Street, Woodbrook, St. James, East Port of Spain, and so on. And I had the same response. On the basis of that, I decided I would begin to poll. And the polls were saying to me, go, 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 which is at that point I make my statement. I didn't know that the government had their own plans for me because they seem to have assisted Miss McDonald, because I think the PNM can do no wrong now, and that is instructive, no matter what you do. In fact, I met a man who once contested who once held a seat under the NNR, and he said, Louis, it looked, yesterday I saw him outside the barber shop. He said, Louis, it looked like for the first time in life I go vote for the PNM.
Now, you have studied this business, so if you make a statement like that, I thought you were being tongue-in-cheek just for a moment, then realized that after you brought the example of the gentleman, as though someone or circumstances or maybe a drink of that put them in a position where they cannot do no wrong. Is that what you're saying?
Well,
there's something...
Rennie, the truth is, after the Vanilla Allen presentation in the parliament, the politics in the country changed.
Okay, well, how would you define that change? It's simple sympathy for Dr. Rowley, outrage against...
I don't think it is for Dr. Rowley. I think it is for the PNM. But it is also... Sorry, maybe you should continue.
Well, I was going, if it is outrage against what she has said and the level of behavior that she displayed as well. But then I'm also asking, because if you were polling and it was going favorable, it wasn't pro-Louis, it was anti-PNM?
No, it would have been, I think, pro-Louis. But it would have been pro-Louis against, and this is why, I thought in recent weeks, I don't know if you've been reading, not recent weeks, in the last month or two, this youngster, Nigel Henry, has been taking pains
polls,
to explain the issue of polls and how they work and what they do. And so the poll was saying to me, you could win. But the minute Vanilla Allen topping issue took place, the polls started to show a different, because we would ask the question, Louis Leasing as an independent candidate versus the People's National Movement. But we'd also ask Louis Leasing versus Marlene McDonald. You follow? So Louis Leasing is plotting favorably against Marlene McDonald, but Louis Leasing against the PNM.
It's a different kettle of fish.
It's a different matter. And it tells you the nature of our society today. I think the PNM is the tribe. The UNC is the tribe on the other side. And so that will continue until we truly find a center that is different, that could stay the course.
Does not seem as though that will be. The 50th anniversary of independence, 2012, you said at the Senior Citizens Brunch, which interestingly you said, everybody in this country is everything. There is and I quote, there is an Indian, there is an African, there is a Hindu, there is a Muslim, there is a Christian. You never hear them say, I'm a Trinidadian or Tobagonian, and that is the problem you said back then. You're saying it exists right now.
I'm saying it is even worse now. And the last couple months, this year in particular, has polarized this nation as never before. I don't know, everybody believes that the PNM is going to win. My friend yesterday told me that. I, however, believe that it is too early to tell. And I still feel that from where I sit, the leadership of a party determines the outcome of the election.
Quick question for you. Does that not in some way contradict what you said a moment ago, only in the sense that when you marry, and I've been paying attention to Nigel myself, when you marry Louis Leasing as against another person individually, Louis is winning. If you go to Louis against the party, it's different. And if there's been an upward trend, as you said, for the PNM, is the political leader that important? Is just my inquiry.
The political leader in any party is crucial to the victory of the party. And therein lies my concern about whether the PNM will prevail. I can't believe that at this time, with all that the PNM has going for it, I mean, literally, I think the government wants to lose the election based on all the issues that I see unfolding one after the other.
You can't plan that kind of
and nobody could tell me, I mean, that we would have anticipated this 5 years ago. I thought they would have been a bad government, but I didn't think that they would be the worst government that I've ever seen. But conversely, I never anticipated that the PNM would not have been able
Capitalize.
to, as it were, quantum leap.
Exactly.
The PNM should have quantum leaped over the partnership, given all that is out there in the domain.
Because the PNM simply did not really have to do any work, neither did it do any work. Per se, the PP handed it issue after issue. And it just, as you said, they're almost a dead heat in the polls right now.
Yeah, and more than that, how is this prime minister still ahead of the the opposition leader? She should never be.
There's a question for you on that, and that has to do with polls. I know I've listened to Pains with with Nigel explaining, how you go about it. I've heard many pollsters explain that, and there is one thing I'm always hearing as a proviso. Folks warn you against taking a snapshot in time when a poll was taken vis-a-vis popularity. Does that factor into explaining this popularity, or you're saying you have seen sufficient of a continuum to agree with those polls?
I want to tell you something.
Yes.
Polls are something that could fascinate you. And I'm dealing with my own experiences in the most recent poll that I did. The poll is showing that my weakest support is 18 to 25 years. Now, why would Louis Leasing, the former mayor, be unpopular with people 18 to 20? And now, when I did the poll, I spent more money doing this poll because I told the pollsters, I said, if you poll landlines alone in South Port of Spain, you're going to get PNM people, because the only people who have landlines in South Port of Spain is the old PNM people. I said, let's find a formula where we could reach people on their mobile phones. And they did. In fact, my project was the guinea pig project for that. So this was the first time, I think, in Trinidad and Tobago, a poll was done where we reached people on their mobile phones. An incentive was provided for them to respond to the questionnaire and what have you. And so, in a sense, I was happy to learn that. I couldn't figure out a man who launched 96.7, and I have always been very close to young people. In fact, I thought it was very fascinating even now, I walk down the road, and young people are the ones who would stop me and say, Amir, I could take a picture with you.
Yes.
Both genders. Young people. So when that poll said that to me, I pinched myself. I said, is there something here that I'm not working out? And then, when you look deeper into the figures and you see the issues with the PNM, you begin to understand what really is playing out.
So you think this the 18 to 25 is a reflection on a disenchantment with the PNM in that age group?
No, I think it is in favor of the PNM.
Okay, 18 to 25. Yeah,
I think so. I think this election, we will see a huge turnout of young people, and I think that is a group that don't wait on transport to come out and vote. That is a group that don't wait on anybody to pick them up.
And that has been the most politically active group in the last 5 years, given the strength of social media.
I certainly say that. Yes. In fact, it is a ruthless group too.
Yes.
When you see what the things that people say on Facebook, it also shows the immaturity of the contributors. People say and they do most anything on Facebook, and I ask myself, is this really helping the process?
Well, I like the thing you said about the reality, because many folks said the same thing about the Obama voters. They said this young group of people, they get only caption news, they take it, they run with it, and they are your new converts, so they've got more energy, they're pushing harder, they're going to stand up, they're going to line up, and he got those votes. So if you're saying that this demographic is in fact favoring the PNM, yet you still have questions. And
what the social media has demonstrated to me, and I spend a lot of time, I don't post on Facebook deliberately these days for a long while, but I read what everybody else posts. And what it tells me is that it's not a thinking group.
Yeah. Reactive.
You know, there is no analysis. And they ride, it's a kind of bandwagon group. So whatever is trending, and you see that word trending, tells you a whole heap about social media.
But is it not dangerous to pass a brush on that group of people I just asked?
No, I'm not passing a brush.
Oh, okay.
And this is why I spend time, sometimes too much time, trying to interpret what they're saying and what is going on. And if you want to understand what is going on politically, you got to get into the social media. You've got to find a formula to understand and to disaggregate what is being said. And you've got to find a way to also get them to believe what you're saying is in the right interest. Now, I also think I enjoyed Twitter much more, you know. You get the feedback you get from Twitter on Twitter, in my view, is certainly a little more thinking. Yes. You know, there's a lot more thought processes going into how people respond to you on Twitter. Because
you have to think a lot to be able to break down what you have to say into one line and make sense.
Yeah, but you could still tag people and redirect them to another source. Yeah. So that if you write a long piece, you could redirect them based on your tweet to something else.
As my guest would understand, let me do the media obligatory here, since he mentioned another station. You're listening to 107.7 Music for Life. The conversation this morning is taking place on Brunch. Sharmain Baboolal is my co-host. I'm Rennie Bishop. The guest, of course, is the former mayor of Port of Spain, Louis Leasing.